Well, that's pretty much the view that we start the trading day off with today, that we're more likely to see more profit-taking emerge yet again today. What are your expectations for the trading day ahead?
Hello, Alishia. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I do expect the market to trade softly today, really, because if you think of it, there's been some profit-taking happening since yesterday and the day before, and I'd expect that to happen today as well. And because if you think of how the market has performed since the beginning of the year, it's appreciated by about 17.66 points since the beginning of the year. And if you look at a few sectors, like the banking sector, for example, has appreciated by over 20%. So you'd expect to see a few profit takers really trying to solidify their gains at this point in time. And also, if you think of the trend, really a weekly trend, Fridays are always a very soft day, and most of the time we see profit taking place on Fridays. So in my view, really, I believe there'll be some form of profit taking as well, and would either see a negative or at best a flat performance in the market today.
Well, naturally, we've still got the banking sector in the spotlight. And a couple of weeks ago, there seemed to have been a trend developing where we were seeing losses in the sector being recorded by low-priced stocks. And at that stage, one was starting to think that bargain hunting was completely out of the picture, not as firmly on the agenda as it's been in the past, possibly. Now, this week, we've seen question marks being put around that theory. Is bargain hunting still rife even amidst all the uncertainty?
Yeah, I would say there's still bargain hunting, but I think that you'd have to look at it in two views, because the fact is that there are two types of banks, really. There are a few banks that are currently being supported by the CBN, while a few are standing. They passed the CBN audit test. And I think for the banks that passed the test, obviously you can see what you're buying, and in that case, you'd really be able to do some form of bargain hunting in those sectors. And while for the banks that didn't pass the CBN audit, because you really can't value them at this point in time, the best you can really do is speculate. So I think what's been happening with those banks, for example, is that you'd see some rally, and after a while, you'd see some profit taking as well. So with those banks, I would say it's still more of speculation than necessarily bargain hunting. It's the banks that I would say pass the CBN test, and banks that you can still place some value to, that you'd really say that you're more or less bargain hunting, really.
So while we
really
saw sorry to interrupt, but while we saw then a 4% or in excess of 4% being trimmed off the likes of EcoBank, Union Bank, Fidelity Bank, PHB and Oceanic yesterday, this could easily then turn the other way next week, with bargain hunting the motivating force. And so one would assume lots of volatility that we're set for within this banking arena moving forward.
Yeah, sure. I'll still expect some volatility. And like I said before, I'd expect more volatility from the banks that really that didn't pass the CBN audit and are supported by the CBN right now. And because the thing with those banks is that most of them aren't really, it's more or less the retail investors that are playing and speculating on such banks. The institutional investors are looking at banks that they can really see some value on, banks that they know they can value right now and place some value on, and will be able to get some returns in both the immediate and the longer term.
Well, Skye Bank has seen some nice moves ever since it's announced its $15 million credit agreement with the Korean Export-Import Bank. The market clearly liking that news. What does it spell for the group moving forward in your books?
In my view, I really do believe that it's a positive move for the bank. And I think if you consider the fact that right now one of the major drivers of the economy is still the wholesale and the retail trade sector, really, you'd expect that most banks that want to try and extend some credit right now, make some interest income, would position themselves in such sectors. And also, if you consider the fact that Korean products are getting more prominent and becoming more popular in the Nigerian market, Korean automobiles, telecommunication products, and even electronics as well, they're all getting very, very much more popular in Nigeria. So really, I would say the bank really did make a good move by getting that facility.